This is one of the most common interview questions, and I don't know why, but sometimes we are not ready for it. Maybe it is because we fear setting our expectations either too high or too low. We don't want to risk rejection due to extremely high salary expectations, or even worse, end up being underpaid. Well, I am not afraid of that topic anymore because I found a solution to talk about this with confidence during interviews, and today I will share it with you. You only need to do three things. Step number one, understand the interviewer's goal. Unless you are applying to a very small company, you will most likely first talk to the recruiter instead of the hiring manager. The recruiter's job is to qualify you as a potential candidate or reject you. Recruiters deal with many candidates and prefer not to advance someone with a high likelihood of rejecting an offer. If your salary expectations are too high, the recruiter may reject you. Now, don't take this as a threat. Stay positive. Don't freak out. And use the recruiter's goal to your advantage, okay? Stay with me. Step two, get the right mindset. Before answering a question about salary for someone else, you need to answer it for yourself with honesty. What is your value as a professional? Unless this is your first job, you already have a salary and you have an idea of how much your colleagues or friends are earning. Use this as a baseline to identify how much you want. Now, if this is your first job or you have been out of the job market for a while, or if you're moving to a new country or making a career change, it might be harder to find a reference. In any case, you can still check available data on websites such as Glassdoor.com. The thing is, regardless of your current situation, you have to decide on your expected minimum and maximum values. This is fundamental and probably the most important step. You shouldn't be reactive. By reactive, I mean waiting to hear an offer or a counter offer before starting to consider if that's a salary you would accept. Before your interview, you should already know what your bottom line is, the least amount of money you are willing to receive. Use this amount as a base to calculate a range that includes your desired or average wage and your minimum salary. Let's assume that your minimum salary is 100,000 a year and you know you can't go below that. Then your desired or average salary should be located somewhere around 110K a year and your maximum somewhere between 120K to 130K a year. Be realistic and don't rush it. If no one is offering what you need, then the right job for you hasn't arrived yet. Keep looking and be patient. On the other hand, if you are not in a good position and you need to find a job as soon as possible, setting up a range could, in some cases, be too ambitious because you don't have the luxury of waiting for the right match. In that case, reduce risk by lowering your expectations below your minimum because you can't wait for a high salary. You are looking to find a job, and that should be your main goal. You should only do this in rare scenarios when you have no other choice. If you have the option to set your standards high, then do it and stay patient. Now let's discuss what to do with the salary range in step 3, execution. As you probably already noticed, I don't think you should share an exact number unless you use it as a midpoint for a range. I've heard some people online saying that you should give a very specific number, such as 10,325 per month. I honestly don't know why they said that, but if I am interviewing someone and I am told a similar answer, I would call BS on that. It also exposes you to a series of funny follow-up questions such as, why 10,325 and not 10,324 or 26 or 27? Or what was your criteria for getting to that number? Anyway, so you have a range, and depending on your situation, it can be a wide one or a narrow one? How would you share it? Would you just shoot it? Maybe, but I recommend coating it with a bit of strategy first to ensure you are kept in the hiring process. It is better to stay flexible. I usually say something like this: I am genuinely interested in this position, so I will share my expectations with you, but I would also ask you to let me know if what I'm asking is within your budget or if it's considered too high or too low. I would be willing to accept it if the salary is somewhere between my goal budget of 200,000 and 220,000 per year. So, do you think this is within your range? They'll have to answer yes or no. If it is a no, then you should ask, okay, then what's the budget or what's your range? I don't know if the recruiter will give you the exact details, but at least you will know if you are aiming too high or too low. If it's lower than expected, tell them that you are still open to consider the role because you are really interested in it. Whatever the outcome, don't make any decisions during the meeting. Continue the interview process as if nothing happened. Only decide what to do the days after if you are invited to the next interview. Take your time. You have to be confident about this. If needed, rehearse it a few times before your meeting. There is absolutely no need to be stressed or nervous about it. Personally, if I am not asked about my salary expectations, I will not let the first screening interview end without discussing this with the recruiter. You should do the same. Ensure you align on salary expectations in the first round, as it is usually the recruiter who handles this kind of information. It is better to talk about that with the recruiters than with the hiring managers. You shouldn't continue in a hiring process if you already know they can't afford you, unless you really want that job regardless of getting a low salary. Sometimes it's not all about money. It's good to join a smaller company with a smaller budget, but for a higher potential. You know, high risk, high reward. Or maybe it is because it is located closer to your house, or you really like their product or vision. You have to figure out what you want. In the same way you define your range or desired salary, you should also think about your deal breakers and life goals. Stay true to them. Now, some companies ask you for your salary expectations online. If possible, start by expressing that you are open to negotiation or that you are flexible and try to provide a range. Unfortunately, sometimes these online forms won't allow you to expand your answer. If that's the case, too bad. It is what it is. Life and work won't always be perfect, so just input the average of your range and hope for the best. Only focus on what you can control and don't overthink it. Good, now some considerations. This is a strategy. Remain consistent and adapt to the information received from the market. Don't quit, keep trying, right? Remember that landing your next role will likely take time. You will have to send out a lot of CVs, face rejections plenty of times, and if you are lucky, secure only a few interviews. Keep moving forward even when you don't want to, even when everything seems to be against you. You got this. You just need to strengthen your strategy and apply to new positions. Whatever the outcome, it won't be the end of the world. Keep growing.